Hey everybody, welcome to Upstairs to the Right Music. This is Mike McWilliams, your host and your tour guide on this lovely business of the music industry. I am going to read an article here from my favorite garbage tier website, the New Music Express. However, I think it's an interesting story. I haven't seen it in the mainstream media. This is current, January 17th, so that's as of basically today. I find it extremely interesting. I haven't heard this in the mainstream media because you would think this is something that would be discussed. David Bowie named greatest entertainer of the 20th century by the British public. Let's dig into this and find out. Here's Mr. Bowie. You know, Mr. Bowie passed away last year from cancer. And sorely missed. I got to tell you, David Bowie, man, he is probably one of the bigger influences in my life. I can think of his 1983 album, Let's Dance, and that I wore that album out. I mean, especially the song Modern Love. China Girl came from that. That was one of the first guitar and bass licks I taught myself back in high school. So, David Bowie, I can dig that. Let's dig into this. Let's unpack this one. He's a star man after all. The British public have crowned David Bowie as the greatest entertainer of the 20th century. In a poll conducted by BBC Two for its historic series Icons, members of the public championed pop star and actor above Marilyn Monroe, Charlie Chaplin, and Billie Holiday in the entertainer category. Now, when we're talking about the 20th century, obviously we're talking about from 1900 until 1999, so that 100-year period. Now, I find it interesting that Michael Jackson didn't even make the cut. But see, you know, that's what happens. When you get an asterisk by your name, you know, a great entertainer, but then, you know, you can really throw away your legacy. Now, I think you could argue that Michael Jackson, because of his singing, his dancing, his acting, and songwriting, would make him certainly above even Mr. Bowie's considerable talent. But he has that asterisk by his name. And I understand that there's a documentary that's coming out this week that further will cast aspersions upon his legacy. So, yeah, you don't want to die with that asterisk next to your name. Bowie, who died in January 2006. Oh, so it's been, actually, wow, that's deep. It's been 3 years now. That's something. I thought it was last year. Oh, my gosh. Will now compete against the likes of Nelson Mandela and Ernest Shackleton in the additional poll for the greatest icon of the 20th century overall. I can dig that. Bowie didn't die with an asterisk next to his name. So, yeah, you know, among this group of people, I would have to say, if we're talking about iconic, then Marilyn Monroe beats them all. Everybody knows her face. I mean, Charlie Chaplin, maybe, it's fading. And Billie Holiday, I think that was certainly, I'm not feeling that one. That may have just been just to put somebody on color. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just saying that, you know, that it doesn't really work, putting her in that list. Actress Kathleen Turner submitted Bowie, Chaplin, Monroe, and Holiday as nominees in the entertainer category. She advocated passionately for all the names, and in her appraisal of Bowie, said, "He raised the creative bar for all entertainers, and that is why he truly deserves to be crowned the ultimate icon of the 20th century by the British public." I agree with that. Ziggy Stardust, here we see him as Ziggy Stardust. Here he's the Thin White Duke. This concept of being these different characters to portray a different vein of music that he was doing at a different time in his career is brilliant. Everybody's copied that. I think I let it known in my last video that Prince is one of my favorites, but he, in my opinion, kind of took that as well, because he started out as this punker kind of dress guy. Or I don't know if you guys remember or not, Prince, when he first came out, it turned me off the first time I saw him, because he was wearing a trench coat, boots, high heel stockings, like Speedo underwear, and that's it. And for me, back in the day when I first saw that, it didn't work for me. But then we saw him evolve into the Purple Rain Prince, and then we saw him evolve into the Christopher Tracy character, and then we saw him transform into, the different iterations that he went through. But none of them were as iconic or as different, in my opinion. I think with Prince, it was all variations of the same theme. With David Bowie, Ziggy Stardust, the Thin White Duke, man, these, and on and on. These characters that he created, along with the music that he was creating at the time, were all different from each other. So yeah, I'm feeling this article more and more that I think about it. The activist category is featured in the next episode. It's coming up. So anyway, so that's all there is. So he won. I have to agree with that. I'm not going to really argue with that one. I'd like to hear from you down in the comments section. What do you think about David Bowie being the greatest entertainer of the 20th century? I'd really love to hear your comments on it. You guys have a good evening, and you take care. Talk to you later.
Like the show? Well, show your support by subscribing and hitting the like button. See you later.